have received a lot of questions from you guys on Instagram, and today is the time to answer those questions.
Woo! Q&A time. Let's go.
And if you haven't already checked our Instagram, please go do that at the link.
Alright, let's get started. How old are we?
You are 31.
I'm glad you said my age because I always forget.
You remember how old I am?
27? 28?
28.
I am like just horrible with numbers. But there are some places in the world that don't celebrate like their birthdays or like count their age. So maybe I just adopted that mindset subconsciously.
Yeah.
I celebrate the day, but not the number.
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
I would like to know if you have ever encountered any anti-Americanism
In Finland.
Yeah.
One stereotype I get a lot is like, oh, you're not as dumb as most Americans are, and that's kind of rude. The other question I get asked a lot is, have I ever been held at like gunpoint or been involved in a shooting? The shooting, not so much. The second one. Like, there was a sniper, the DC sniper at my middle school, and he sent a letter to my middle school saying he would pick us off one by one if we went to school that day, pick us off the bus. And there was a shooting in Ashland.
Damn.
Yeah, and we also had a lot of bomb threats at my high school.
Damn.
Yeah.
Swell.
So, and then when I went to the ammattikoulu for the short amount of time, there was one girl there that called me vittuun ulkomaalainen.
Oh yeah, here in Finland.
Yeah, in Finland. Which is basically like fucking foreigner. Comments about my weight. Like, oh yeah, you look American or something like that. Or if you want to go to McDonald's. Like, those kinds of stereotypes. But is that anti-Americanism? I don't know. It's just stereotypes and people being people. How did we meet?
We met online. We played Pokemon in the same online community.
We were like friends for a year.
Yeah.
Before we started dating. But yeah, that's pretty much how we met. Just playing Pokemon.
Do you guys think about having kids one day? We don't have any serious plans as of right now. In one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those it would be nice things, but
not right now.
Not right now, not in this moment. And then there's also the thing, like, I've seen a lot of my family members put stress on themselves to have kids at a certain time. And I just remember putting that pressure on themselves. Like, it was so hard to watch as a family member, like, supporting them. And I always told myself then I don't ever want to put that amount of pressure on myself to have kids. Like, it happens when it happens. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Is there something American you miss in Finland? I think I mostly miss other cultures. Like, the U.S. is such a melting pot, especially Virginia and where I lived in Virginia. Just, there was every culture you could think of in that area, and it was nice just to have so many cultures around you. Finland, it's not so much. We moved to an area where there are a lot of cultures, so I like that. It makes me feel more at home. So just other cultures, really.
What do you do when you're speaking Finnish with someone and you don't get the words?
When I'm having a hard time understanding what's being said to me, a lot of times I'll just say, voitko sanoa uudelleen? Which, like, can you say it again? But then when I ask that, people typically respond in English, and that frustrates me. I know they're doing it to be helpful, but I just want to hear it in Finnish again, because sometimes it's just happens so fast, and I'm just not ready for it. Or it's a new word that I haven't learned yet, so I'm just like, huh? I think the most frustrating part is like when I'm trying to communicate in Finnish, and like what I'm trying to say isn't getting across well. Like yesterday in class, I had to do like a PowerPoint on like 5 things about me in Finnish, and it was taking me a while to set it up. So I was trying to tell the teacher, I was like, mitä jos meillä on pieni tauko nyt, sitten myöhemmin mä voin aloittaa mun PowerPointia. But she was like, no, like in Finnish, like we have a tauko later. Like if you think you just need more time, we can do it later. I'm like, no, like I finally got so frustrated that I had to just say it in English. I'm like, while we're setting up, there's no point in people sitting here like staring at me.
Yeah.
Like let them like get water or go to the bathroom or something, and then like we can start.
Yeah.
But I think she just like took my word tauko like as in like a big break. Those moments like get me so frustrated because it's like it makes me feel like my vocabulary is not big enough, or like I need to do more than I'm already doing, or that I'm not doing enough. But then that's like my own psychological issues that I need to work on. But yeah, those are the moments I get most frustrated. Have you already been to other countries in Europe or planning to travel? So I've been to Croatia when I first moved to Finland. And when I first came to visit Tuomas, the first time we met, on the way back, I went to Denmark, Malmö, Sweden, and then I missed my flight back to the US. And so I was like, YOLO, I'm going to go to Iceland. Yeah.
I stayed there a couple days. Went to visit the...
Yeah, it was just one day, like 20, 24 hours in
right.
Iceland. Oh.
Yeah, even I haven't been to Iceland or even Denmark.
Have you been to Malmö?
Not to Malmö, but Sweden.
Oh.
Stockholm and Uppsala.
Where have you been to in Europe?
I have had a one-day visit to Hamburg, Germany. Went to a zoo with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in Estonia, Latvia, St. Petersburg, Russia, England a few times, and Greece, Turkey, and well, Canary Islands. It's debatable if it's Europe or Africa, but
Where is a place that you would want to like for us to go together?
Italy.
Italy.
Yeah.
Ooh, all the pasta. Mostly I just want to explore Finland more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just there's so much to explore, I feel.
What are your biggest dreams for future as a couple?
Oh. Like Moose.
I guess just stay together.
Like that's so hard to do. I think a better way to say that is to continue growing as a couple.
Yeah.
And continue working on things like communication and understanding our cultural differences and creating a loving family.
Yeah, but those are like included in when staying together.
Okay.
You can't stay together if those things don't happen along the way.
I think one goal maybe to have like more couple friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's a goal I have for us, like couple friends.
No.
Yeah, okay. Are you planning to stay in Finland, or do you want to live in America as well? No, I'm good. I'm gonna stay in Finland.
Parhaat matkavinkkisi Virginiaan, the best travel tips to Virginia. This is a great question because I feel like Finns always prefer either New York, California, Vegas, or Florida.
Well, I mean, that's all Europeans. It's like they just think the U.S. is just those places.
Yeah, but I think Virginia has so much to offer. First of all, there's DC, right next to Virginia, which has a lot to offer. There's a lot of like important historical sites or political sites like Capitol Hill and the Washington Monument and the Trump Hotel. a lot of great museums.
Yeah, we went to the Native American Museum.
Yeah, but like there's this like Smithsonian Institute that fund a lot of different museums. Like there are like dozens of different museums.
Yeah, like you need a couple of days to like honestly go through all the museums, and or like a whole week.
Yeah,
honestly.
like you can spend as much time as you want in DC. There's so much to see.
Mm-hmm.
And
The Capitals.
Yeah,
Yeah. Washington Caps.
Um,
Go Caps.
And then
All caps.
yeah, there's the cemetery, which is in a lot of movies. And then there's of course other historical sites in Virginia. It was a very very important area in the or place in the Civil War.
Yeah, in Shenandoah.
Yeah,
And we went there.
yeah. And then there's a Jamestown, which is like the first European settlement in the U.S. So they have a museum around that.
Mm-hmm. It's like a living museum, I guess.
Kind of like an all outdoors
Yeah,
museum.
Jamestown is like that.
Yeah,
And then there's also the heritage site, which I don't think we were able to go to.
yeah,
But the heritage site has like it's the official Jamestown. Like you can see the bricks from where like Jamestown was, and,
Yeah.
and that's really cool to go to.
Yeah.
And then there's the beach,
yeah.
the mountains.
Yeah, a lot of like national parks and vineyards and
Yeah, Virginia is really cool. Like
yeah.
I'm happy I'm from Virginia.
A lot of cool like old towns as well, just to drive to and
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
yeah,
that's the most important thing. Like you have to have a car.
Yeah.
Like, I don't recommend buses in Virginia. They're just not that nice. I'm like really ashamed of our public transportation after living in Finland. But
yeah. Renting a car is
needed.
yeah.
What has required the most adjustment in your lifestyle since moving to Finland? I think the hardest adjustment has been to like live life at a slower pace. Not live to work, but like work just to live. And just the US's work culture compared to Finland's work culture, or even like study culture, school culture, is completely different. And the US has just a really big burnout issue, whereas Finland's approach seems to be like more relaxed and laid back. And I really like that about Finland, and it took me a long time to like get used to that, and it was worth it.
Yeah. I guess another one is the difference in transportation. At least in our previous place, like we walked everywhere, and after that we started taking buses.
Mm-hmm. But we moved, so
Yeah,
that was why.
yeah. But like versus in the U.S., you would always take car everywhere because that's how the country is built. You just have to.
I miss driving though. I miss driving so much. I never want to drive in the winter here, but like I really miss driving. So I guess that's one thing I miss about the US is being able to drive.
What has been the most positive thing about moving to Finland and living in Finland?
Being with you. I mean that was a huge thing. I don't feel as stressed anymore like I did in the US. Again, like with gun violence, that was something that was kind of always in the back of my mind. Work-life balance was pretty shit in the US. I just feel like I have more time to be and more time to be like relaxed in Finland, and I think I sometimes take that too serious because I'm like, why are you rushing me? I just feel more relaxed here and compared to before, and that's the best part of living here. What's the most difficult part of living in Finland? Sometimes the things that like from my own culture, the US culture, and like how we view the world isn't the same as how Finns view the world or how Finnish culture is. One big thing is like alcoholism. It's just so different, and alcohol in general is very different compared to the US. And it also could like just be my age. Like I'm also starting to just look at alcohol differently. But it's just some other things like thought processes. Thought processes are very different. Like especially when it comes to making friends or just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say has been the hardest thing for me?
I mean, one thing, of course, especially in the previous place, was that since we didn't have a car, you often said you felt trapped. There was like, you didn't have much connections or chances to kind of go outside of the house to do anything.
Yeah. And it's that like trap feeling is more than just like having a car or missing like having a car. It also comes from like not being confident with my Finnish, or at that point not knowing enough Finnish to comfortably go to places. And everyone says you can use English, but like it makes me feel so guilty because of that whole American mindset, like you're in the US, speak English or fucking speak American or whatever bullshit people say.
Best way to make friends in Finland?
I'm gonna preface this by saying friends, good friends, friends that you want in your life take a long time. Good friendships take time to grow and develop. That's anywhere in the world. The next thing I want to say, do not hang yourself up on trying to find Finnish friends. Because if you really think about like that whole I need to have Finnish friends thing, it's a very weird thing. Like you don't see Finns walking around saying, well, I gotta find myself an immigrant friend. I need to find myself some expat friends. Like no one says that. Instead, it's more of, I want to find friends that play pool. I want to find friends that are also into knitting. So if you're really trying to find friends, think of your hobbies. Like, what are your hobbies and interests? And find friends through those. Because, like, then you're at least hanging out with people that have the same interests and likes as you do. Rather than just trying to be friends with someone because of their nationality. Like that's, your friendship's not going to get very far if you think like that. Another thing to be said would be, if you really are going to stay and live in Finland for a long time, you have to learn Finnish. Because if you're going to interact with people, if you're going to work with people, and if you're going to live your life here, then you need to know some to, like, in my opinion, live a fulfilling life. Have you ever like wanted to go find foreigner friends? Like, has that ever been like a thought to you, or has it been like, I want to find friends that play pool?
I think this goes for a lot of Finns. I feel like Finns don't really look for friends. They look for maybe like communities, like when it comes to hobbies or work or whatever. And they just trust that connections are created there.
Yeah. So it's more about finding a community rather than finding a friend.
Yeah.
It's finding a group of people that share your likes and interests.
Favorite things about each other?
Oh.
I love your spontaneity, spontaneousness.
Spontaneity.
I love that, like your, like especially recently we have realized like our ways of dealing with or feeling stress is completely opposite to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that a lot. That I don't know. Sometimes it causes some friction, but like in the grand scheme of things, that's great.
It challenges you.
Yeah, but it's very, it enables me to learn about my behaviors.
Kiva.
Yeah.
I really like how patient you are and how calm you are. Of course, you have your moments where you're being a hatahosu, but that's because like you feel stressed. And I have moments where I'm a hatahosu, so. But I really, and like that was one thing I fell in love with the most when it came to you, just how calm and reassuring your presence is. Like, I just feel very relaxed with you, and like I don't need to stress. As an expat in Finland, do you worry about Russia being so close? Do you feel more unsafe now? I ask because I have friends that wanted to visit but canceled due to their fear. I remember when everything first started happening. It was just a shock. And then when I talked to Uki about it and asked him his thoughts, he was just like, well, if it happens, it happens. And this Uki, Tuomas' grandfather, like, was a kid during the winter?
The Second World War.
Or Second World War. And he's from Miehikkälä, so he had to get relocated to Turku.
Yeah, close to Turku.
Close to Turku. So like I value his opinion more than anything. Like, and I feel like that's also a very like Finnish like sisu mentality. If it happens, it happens. I also think that's why like Finland still has the draft and prepares, also has like strategies in place, because this is something that could always be a thing from both sides.
Yeah.
Just because of Finland's history. So, no, not really. Is it a thought that like sometimes comes up? Yeah, but like those are just intrusive thoughts at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like I haven't felt like terribly scared since the first, like, or since what happened last year, like the start of the war.
If we look at from the angle that is it like safe to travel here as a tourist, yeah, 100%. And right now it looks like there's basically like Russian army is just falling apart, so it's not like there's any real threat in the near future anyway.
Or like even like just most of their forces are concentrated on a different front. It makes no sense logically for them to come to this front as well.
Yeah, but it's not just that, it's looking that even if they weren't, like, they just don't have the power to start anything. So yeah, like Finland is a safe country to travel to.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel safer here than I did in the US, so
yeah.
But I when I first moved to, or like when I was leaving from the US to Finland, a lot of people asked me that, like, aren't you scared because it's right next to Russia? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
we went too close to the Russian border in the.
We went to Miehikkälä.
Yeah, like summer, and.
It was just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, we were there and we had a great time there. Like, it was one of those things I guess you get like desensitized to after a while, but that's life at the end of the day.
Did you have any doubts about the whole relationship before moving abroad?
We had a phase in our long distance relationship where we both were, and I think this happens with all long distance couples, I'm not start with that. But there's a point, or any relationship really, where you really think about the future of the relationship. Is this what I really want? Is this what is best for me? Is this what's best for our future? Like, and you really start considering those things. And we had that phase right before, or right when I started saving up money to move to Finland. And then as like 2020 happened in COVID, I was working in a nursing home and we saw a lot of COVID cases, and it was very hard for me working there at that time, and it just made me more and more ready to move to Finland and made it seem like a better situation, because I thought Finland was handling COVID better than the US, or at least the area I was in. I just wanted to be with Tuomas. It just made me realize like how important Tuomas is to me and how I want to be with him and spend my life with him. And was I nervous? Fuck yeah. But I don't ever regret the decision, and I would do it again. If I had to make the same decision, I would move to you.
For me, it wasn't really about doubts. It was about like making all these things, because of course when someone moves from abroad, it's a big process. There's, you know, a lot of formalities that needs to be taken care of. So it was like, for me, it was just a process of doing all these little things that I never expected to have to do. Like I messaged different like ministers in Finland being like, hey, there's this group of us, people in long distance relationship, trying to close the gap, and we need to change the COVID rules so my fiance can move to Finland. So it's just, you know, at that point I've already done so much things to make this happen in the first place that it's not really about doubt at that point. It just, okay, I've done this thing, now let's just see how things turn out. And because, like, I didn't have any reason to think it wouldn't work after dating for, what was it, almost 4 years.
I appreciate all that you did to get ready for me to come here. Like, I felt so loved and accepted when I got here, and like I could see how much you prepared for me, and it made me feel very safe, and it was nice. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Do you miss or celebrate American holidays? Have you and Hubs created a new tradition or created new traditions? I miss Thanksgiving. Because like for me, it's like the start of the holiday season. But this is why I said I want to have more like couple friends, or like just be in a better position to host a Thanksgiving. It would be something really nice to do. Will it be like American Thanksgiving? I don't know. Probably not. I don't think it would be like a turkey as a focus because turkeys are so expensive here.
Yeah, but this Thanksgiving we did this like nice little turkey pie with just like sandwich turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very nice.
Yeah, it turned out really well. So like I think I would probably do something like that and just like have friends over and family. 4th of July, I haven't really done anything. I think we got burgers one year. It's probably like the one time a year I eat burgers.
Oh yeah.
4th of July.
Halloween we haven't really done. Except
the first year. It was like the first year we did everything.
Yeah. First week for you in Finland, right?
Yeah.
We had a party, but
we didn't have someone invited us to their party.
Yeah, we were in a party.
Yeah. Which that was St. Patrick's Day last year we tried to do something, even though it's like a American Irish. It's a drinking party, and Cinco de Mayo is a drinking. Yeah. Like it makes me realize that a lot of American parties are just based around drinking, and not really like the why we celebrate things. Like I like Thanksgiving because it's like the only holiday that's not really based around drinking. It's based around like coming together and being thankful for people. Or at least that's how I celebrate it. So that's what I miss most. But we have like started new traditions. This past year we went to Joulurauhan. Julistuksessa.
Joo. Käytiin joulurauhajulistuksessa.
Yeah. The signing of the Christmas Declaration of Peace in Turku. That was really fun. And it would be really, really nice if we could make that our tradition. Or at least like every other year. Yeah. Because we mostly do Christmas as parents. And then like Christmas Eve is with his family. And then Christmas Day is kind of with my family virtually. And that's like a tradition. Those are the main ones. Like Vappu is kind of like we're figuring out what to do for Vappu. We haven't like cemented a tradition yet. Yeah. And the same thing with Juhannus. We haven't like we've celebrated, but we haven't like found like our tradition.
What did Tuomas study? I studied Finnish history as a major and social studies, cultural history as a minor.
Humanitarian. Or no,
humanitarian.
What is it?
Humanist.
Humanist studies.
Yeah.
If it's okay, I would like to ask what calmed any anxiety or made you feel content with moving, leaving, and entering a new unfamiliar environment. Sometimes I get the thought, will this be the right choice? What if X, Y, Z happens, etc., etc. Before I, like literally the days before I moved to Finland, I was a nervous wreck. Like I was so on edge the whole time. Because it is a big change and it's such a huge like shock to your body.
And it didn't help that it was the COVID time, so there was the uncertainty if she's even gonna make it to the country. So
yeah, that added a layer of stress to things.
Yeah.
But I really focused more on spending time with my family and just kind of being present in the moment in Virginia. I did a lot more walking then, just like to kind of like calm myself and give myself like a routine. Um, it was a whole process though, and at every phase of the process, there was one more thing that like I had to do, take care of before I could move. Um, so I think my biggest tip would be like to give yourself a lot of time and like don't try to like leave everything to the last month because then you're gonna lose your mind. And yeah, like those fears of like what if something happens, but like what if it doesn't? What if everything goes great? What if everything goes better than expected? Then what? Then you're gonna be happy. You have to look at the bigger picture with these things because a small moment can feel very, very stressful. But in the grand scheme of things, that small moment you look back on, you're like, why did I stress? Like, why was I even worried about that? And that's just life. That's how it is and how it goes and how it will be. But because I am a very responsible person, I booked a round trip ticket as my last ticket to Finland. I even like told the border guard. He asked me like if I was moving to Finland, why did I have a round trip ticket? I was like, well, I just wanted to be or give myself a way out if I needed to get out. I don't ever want to feel like I'm trapped. It's not just it's something I try to avoid feeling. So I like to give myself a way out. So if you can prepare for that financially, I think round trip tickets are more times cheaper than one-way tickets. So it's a good way to give yourself a comforting out. I made my ticket for after 90 days because that's the period. So, and in the back of my mind, I had that option. And it felt good. It made me feel safe. But I didn't need to take it. But it was always a plan if it need be. What about you? Were you afraid things wouldn't work out? Or what were your fears right before? Like that week before I moved here?
I mean, my fear was, going back to the COVID thing, that you can get to the country.
Oh yeah, I almost didn't at what was it, Amsterdam?
Yeah.
Man, fuck that dude. I'm still angry to this day about that guy. So I have to tell this story. And so I was so ready to come here. I made like a binder showing that Finland, like highlighted areas where it says like Finland allows people that are in long distance relationships to come. I had Tuomas write a letter of introduction for me in both English and Finnish. I had a copy of his passport picture, a copy of mine. I had like written out like all the times we met like in the past, like to show like we are a couple. I also had my wedding dress in my carry-on suitcase. And like I was just ready, basically. And I get to Amsterdam and like there's a girl in front of me in line and she's saying like she's with her friend. She's like, oh yeah, I'm here to meet my boyfriend. Like meet for the first time. And like the border guard is like flirting with her and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh well, nice. Like this seems very easygoing and I'm sure I'll be fine. I show my stuff to the guy. He's like, wow, you are overly prepared. Why do you have like this much information? Are you sure? Like, how can I like keep questioning me? And I'm trying to be respectful and everything, but I have a short fuse, to put it nicely. And it got to a point I was like, I can pull out my wedding dress from my suitcase if you would like to see it. Like, I don't know what else other proof I can show you. He was like, no, that's not necessary. Let me through. I called Tuomas up right after that. I was like, man, I was about to go in on this guy. And like the flight from the US, it was like KLM. They were so nice. They gave me like a little thing. Like the guy was so nice to me the whole time. It was such a great like flight experience. Like I was on cloud nine. I was like, yes, everything's gonna work out. And then that border patrol dude at Amsterdam, man, fuck him. Fuck him.
Wow, you got through.
I got through. How did you feel when you got that call that
I mean, I was just very relieved to hear that you got through.
What time was it? It was like 4, 8, 5 a.m.
No, it was like 8.
8, okay.
Yeah.
I called you super early. So that's that's us in a nutshell. Thanks for all the questions, and thanks for being here, for following us, and we wouldn't have this without y'all, so thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks for sticking out until the end.
Yeah, for real. Till next time. Nah.
Moi moi!